Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dairy Raid for another morning walk and talk. Although it is just past 6 p.m. and obviously I'm not outside walking and talking. I'm actually here at the meeting rooms at our facility for a little film session with the players tonight. Coming in here in about an hour or so, reviewing our film from our win over the weekend and our season opener for our seniors. So that will be fun to do. However, we do have some Wisconsin news, and that is not fun. Got kind of hit with a double whammy here in the last 24 hours. First, the announcement, or not necessarily announcement, the pending re-entry to the transfer portal for Tanner Koziol, and then just within the last hour or so, my time, and as I'm recording this, the news that Kevin Haywood has actually torn his ACL and is out for the season. Definitely a double whammy for the Badgers as they're getting close to the end of spring ball. But it gives us something to talk about, so let's do that. Tanner Koziol. He was the prize get in this year's transfer portal. On paper, he was going to be a great fit for the Jeff Grimes offense. He was going to be that dynamic playmaker at the tight end position that the Badgers have not had in a very long time. I wouldn't say we've ever had dynamic tight ends. We've had very solid tight ends. Jake Ferguson, obviously, NFL tight end. But Tanner Koziol is that newer school reception first type tight end that we really haven't had. A dynamic athlete, catch balls over the middle, in the flat, up the seams, wherever. It's going to be a big fit, great fit in this offense because of Jeff Grimes' tendency to use a lot of tight ends. And I think the Grimes offense, as Tanner has learned the system, has gotten through the offseason conditioning, and is getting to actually get his hands in the dirt in practice, for his game is not what he was looking for. He's the type of player that fits the Grimes offense, but the Jeff Grimes offense doesn't necessarily fit maybe what Tanner Koziol was thinking of going into his last season in college football and the springboard to the NFL. What do I mean by that? Well, just seconds ago, I'm thumbing through Twitter before I come on here, and I see a quote from Luke Fickell where he's not speaking about anybody in particular, but he says that the Big Ten is for big boy football. And, you look at the video that I put together for Tanner Koziol talking about his blocking. He was never a very good blocker. He was a serviceable blocker. He was skinny, and you could tell he was the type of guy that they would run away from, and he was a passing threat. Obviously, that's what he was built for. He's a former wide receiver coming out of high school, so that's not surprising. In the Jeff Grimes offense, he's going to be asked to do more than run up the seams, run in the flat, be a red zone target. You need to be a complete tight end, and I think on paper that's what Tanner wanted, but when he realized how much he was doing other than the quote-unquote fun stuff, I think he soured on the offense. I think another thing is at Ball State, he's going to get 90 catches. At Wisconsin, he's going to get half that, if not less, for various reasons. And I think a big reason for that is the emergence of other people in the offense. And it's kind of taking the shine away from Tanner a little bit. Jackson Aker is what Jeff Grimes is looking for in that tight end, H-back, fullback combo player that he had at Kansas. And I think Jackson Aker is a more athletic version of that. And as the spring has gone on, his reps are going up and up. So there's one tight end. But then you also take a look at the emergence of other receivers now that Tretch has been down with injuries. Guys like Eugene Hilton Jr., Tyrell Henry, Chris Brooks, Quincy Burrows. There are going to be the need for more receivers to get reps because they've earned it. And by doing so, you're going to maybe see less 10 or 11 personnel, less 12 personnel packages that we were thinking of. When they're running 11 personnel, Jackson Aker is a more serviceable player with what Jeff Grimes wants in that position. So I think as the spring has gone on, Tanner Koziol's role was diminishing. Not had anything to do with his talent, but due to the rise of the people around him and just the fit for what Jeff Grimes wants out of the tight end position in the lead tight end role. I still think he was going to be on the field a lot, but other people around him showing that they could do more. And that's a good thing. So where does this leave the tight end room going for the rest of the spring into fall camp? Well, like I said, I think Jackson Aker is going to be the lead tight end. He's going to be the guy getting the most reps out of that room. I had a sinking suspicion that was going to happen even when Tanner Koziol was there, that Jackson Aker's presence was going to grow more and more, and it's shown. Listen to the media reports of people who've been at practice. You hear Jackson Aker's name a lot. You didn't hear Tanner Koziol's name a lot other than those first couple practices. And you're hearing about the other guys too. I think Tucker Ashcraft has been growing over the last 3 years. He was put in a really bad position as a true freshman playing a lot of reps because, let's face it, the first and second team tight ends that the Badgers had coming out of spring both retired or were injured. And he was thrust into playing as a true freshman. And he did okay. Last season, he was a true sophomore at being asked to be the lead tight end because there wasn't anybody else there to step up. Riley Nokowski was a fullback. And even though he got a lot of reps, he wasn't the athlete that Tucker Ashcraft was. So I think over the last 2 years, he's done well. And by what you're hearing out of spring ball, he is taking the lead in that inline tight end position. Is he the same athlete as Tanner Koziol? Of course not. But can he get serviceable reps in two tight end sets as an inline tight end when Jackson Aker's in the backfield as a fullback, or as a single tight end in 11 personnel? I think so. But this is also going to lead to more reps for guys that we've been looking for over the last couple of years. Grant Steck, JT Seagreaves, Jax McGowan. These guys that until Tanner Koziol came to Wisconsin, him transferring to Wisconsin was a bonus. I thought the tight end room was going to be young but solid, young but talented. And it's just one more chance for those guys to get reps and to build their presence with the Badgers. Now, will they go into the portal to pick somebody up? Potentially. When the transfer portal opens, the Badgers are going to lose players. Other people losing players too. I think one name to look out for is Jackson Accardi, the tight end from West Virginia, a DeForest native. He wasn't recruited by the Badgers, whether it be the previous staff or the current staff. He was a little undersized coming out of high school. It looks like he's put on about 30 pounds at West Virginia in a year. So that is something definitely to look for in the portals. Maybe he wants to come closer to home. But we're just going to see the offense evolve. This is going to be the nature of the transfer portal era, where players are going to leave for whatever reason, and they have the ability to do so. And when it comes to NIL and all that kind of stuff, football sometimes gets kind of pushed to the back burner, or the players try to dictate their place on the football field more than maybe they should. So it sucks that we are going to lose Tanner Koziol. Now, it's not official until he signs with somebody else. There's a chance he could come back. We've had two players come back from the portal already. But It sucks, but we've got to move on. Next man up, all those cliches, but that has to happen because the tight end is a very important position in the Jeff Grimes offense. And it may take a committee of 5 guys to fill what Tanner Koziol was going to give us, but it is a chance for our room to grow, addition by subtraction. All right, that's enough on Tanner Koziol. Let's talk about the injury to Kevin Haywood, the heir apparent at left tackle after Jack Nelson went. Highly touted kid, violent player coming out of high school, made the transition from a high school right tackle to a college left tackle, and he's going to be a good one. Injuries happen, unfortunately. Torn ACL. Let's hope nothing serious, and he can be back by the time we get to next spring and be ready to play as a redshirt sophomore in 2026. But where does that leave the offensive line room and, more importantly, the left tackle position? I think Leighton Nelson is probably going to be the first guy we're looking to off the bench to take that spot. He was going to be the swing tackle last season before he got injured in fall camp. So I think he would be the most likely person to get there. Barrett Nelson has been bouncing around trying to get in the left tackle rotation as well. He's always injured. I've heard Emerson Mandel's name mentioned as a left tackle. Athletically, he could be a good one. I think he's a little short for a left tackle. I also think he lacks experience as a pass blocker. If he's going to play tackle, it's going to be right. Raleigh Mallman could potentially be a left tackle. I think he's a little too stiff to be a left tackle, so I think Leighton Nelson's going to be your guy. They'll probably kick some tires at somebody on the portal as maybe insurance. But again, just like we're talking about with the tight ends, this has got to be a situation where somebody already in the room has got to be there to stand up. We can't just be looking at the portal to solve all of our problems. So Leighton Nelson has the ability and has the experience to play both right and left tackle. I think he would be a good fit to start with. Where the depth is behind him, that would be something to look into. But again, it is what it is. Injuries happen, and we've got to, maybe as fans, get out of the mentality of, well, if somebody gets hurt, we're just going to immediately look to the portal to fill it. Let's see what the room does. I'm excited about the offense. I've been hearing a lot of great things coming out of spring ball and all of the things that me as a coach gets excited to hear about, all the movement, all the dynamics, the simple complexity of the offense. So that kind of things can maybe mask the loss of a left tackle. Just changes what we're going to do systematically a little bit, going to change a little bit rotation. But at the end of the day, we still got to make plays. And also, let's not gloss over the fact that Kevin Haywood, even though he's a very talented kid and he deserved to be in the position to be the starting left tackle, he was still a true sophomore. And that could be tricky for a young guy. Let's hope that he rehabs well and he'll be in position to take that starting spot again next season. All right. I think that's all we're going to talk about today. I want to do a quick one before, obviously, if we don't get this out now, the news cycle, all this is going to get lost in. So we'll stop it there. I think we'll try to do another walk and talk with Q&A here going into next week. But until then, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.